Hello and welcome to the first episode of Gone Fishing of the 2024 season. My name is Eric Wiedeke. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Eric Wiedeke. As always, this is part of the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel, so do feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps grow what we do over there, as well as helps to make sure that we keep pumping out this content for you guys. So for today, in honor of spring training coming up in about a week or so, pitchers and catchers will be reporting to the Marlins next Thursday, February the 15th, and then the first game is going to be February 24th against the St. Louis Cardinals up there in Port St. Lucie. In honor of that, I have 5 non-roster invitees to watch for Marlins fans. These are 5 guys, and I am skewing a little bit more organizational. There are a couple of guys that we can talk about as well that come from outside the organization. I think a guy like Trey Mancini most comes to mind for a lot of fans here. But I'm going to hop right into it with 5 guys that I think fans are going to want to watch that can make an impact for 2024 and potentially beyond for this Marlins organization. And the first one is a name that we've heard bantied about in the Herald for about a month now. It seems like this new front office is in on this guy, and that's going to be Will Banfield. This is a guy that the Marlins are intrigued to see what they have in him. A guy that was drafted in 2018 by the Marlins. Finally started to show a little bit of life in the bat over this last season at Double-A. The 24-year-old hit .258 with 23 homers and a .772 OPS last season. He is more of a glove-first prospect here, but considering the age, considering that he was at the Double-A level last season, I know Skip it seems like they're set on Fortes and Christian Bethancourt being the guys at the catcher position, at least to start the season. I would imagine that if Banfield has a very strong spring and he has a strong start to the season, in the minors, I can imagine a guy like Nick Fortes potentially having a short leash, and the Marlins seeing Will Banfield potentially sooner than later. I think it feels like a matter of time before he makes his debut. I think the Marlins fans will see this guy make his debut in 2024. Will Banfield is my first Marlin to watch. My second Marlin to watch is going to be another catcher. This is a guy that was undrafted by the Marlins in 2021. It's going to be Paul McIntosh. Also plays first base, left field, DHs a little bit. Career .835 OPS in the minors. Potentially the best raw power in the organization. Paul McIntosh is a guy that might be a little bit more on the outside track to make the team. In fact, I would put the odds on that. It's astronomically low at this point. But McIntosh is a guy that has probably the best power tool in the entire organization outside of Kemp Alderman, who was selected last year in the second round. McIntosh is a guy, he just mashes the ball. And I think that fans are going to have a lot of fun with this guy in spring training, depending on the number of at-bats that he gets. But the batting practice is going to be enormous for this guy, and potentially a guy that you could see in 2024 under the radar at some point here if things go wrong with injuries, what have you. We know that backup first base / DH spot for the Marlins is still pretty much wide open, and that's a really good segue for the next guy, Troy Johnston, the Marlins 2023 minor league player of the year. Hit .307, 26 homers, 116 runs batted in, swiped 24 bags. Considering how open this DH job this first base DH job is after Josh Bell, we already know he's got a spot on this team here. Johnston and Trey Mancini, who the Marlins also brought in as a non-roster invitee, seem like the 2 guys that are really going to be fighting it out for this spot. Johnston at 26 is an older prospect, but he is probably the best all-around bat in the organization. Also represents a little bit of positional versatility, as he does have experience in either corner outfield spot as well. So potentially if he catches on, if he's hot enough in the spring, perhaps you see another platoon of either Bell and Johnston at first, or perhaps even Dela Cruz and Johnston in left field, depending on how well he shows out in spring training and whether or not he shows that can translate to big league pitching. The fourth guy that I am, and I think Marlins fans should be excited to see, is going to be Jacob Berry, first baseman, third baseman, DH. He was drafted 6th overall in 2022. He's a guy that came out, kind of was touted as a surefire big leaguer, a guy that you thought was going to be a contributor right away for this Marlins team. Hasn't quite worked out like that. He struggled to acclimate to minor league pitching to the tune of a 682 OPS over his first 2 seasons in the minors. This is a guy that still at 22 years old, still has a lot of untapped potential to look for. And he did show some signs of life last season. Barry finished up his season in 28 games at the AA level with a 748 OPS, and then had a decent showing in the Arizona Fall League, 770 OPS. It'll be a good chance to see Jacob Berry here for the first time really start to potentially get his feet wet with some big league pitching and show off perhaps some of that prospect pedigree that he had back in 2022. And the last guy is going to be the youngest player on this list. It's going to be Javi Sonoja, a guy who was an international signing for the Marlins, plays a little bit of infield, a little bit of outfield. What makes this guy so interesting is that he hasn't played a game over high A, above the high A level as of yet, but he has impressed in his time in the Marlins organization. Sonoja was a 298 hitter with a 736 OPS last season between single A and high A last year. Also swiped 37 bags, and he had a pretty impressive run in the Venezuelan Winter League this year. Hit 292 in 23 games, brings positional versatility, a guy that's played infield, played a little bit of outfield. And his number one trait right now for me is the eye at the plate. This is a guy that in 576 plate appearances only struck out 42 times, drew 41 walks. For a guy at his age, at 21 years old, there's not a lot of power for him. The frame is small, only 5'7", 150. But if he does grow into it just a little bit and he does develop the power to maybe be a 10 to 12 home run guy, he's already so far ahead of the curve with his plate recognition that you can't help but be at least intrigued by the potential that a guy like Sonoja presents. So those are 5 guys going into this spring training that I think that the Marlins fans should be have a careful eye on to potentially make an impact for this team in 2024 and beyond. We are going to be continuing our coverage of the Marlins next week as spring training gets kicked off with pitchers and catchers reporting. I will be doing a full season, basically a full season breakdown, expectations, best pitcher, best batter, best newcomer, all that kind of stuff. So do be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I look forward to a really fun, really exciting baseball season here for the Marlins. I know that the offseason was a little bit slow, and we will get into that because I do have my thoughts there as well. But this was just a quick refresher. You know, you want to dive back into some Marlins baseball after 3-4 months away. These are 5 names to look for in spring training. My name is Eric Wiedeke. As always, remember you can follow me on Twitter at Eric Wiedeke. And also remember to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. It helps grow what we do on the channel, and it helps us pushing out that content. So thank you guys and have a wonderful day. I will see you next week as the Marlins start up their spring training in earnest. Bye-bye.